Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to the fourth Virtual Food Festival. I'm Stephen Lamb. I'm delighted to be able to host this event. I think it's the third one we've done this month, the fourth in total, and the quality just keeps on getting better. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for coming on to our YouTube channel. We're going live. Virtual Food Festival is always live every time we do this, whether it's a Fringe on a Friday night or whether it's one of our festival sessions. We had a great Friday night Fringe last night with a brilliant producer, Primrose Hurd. And if you wanted to catch up and see that, you can go on the YouTube channel. Everything is recorded and we keep it there for posterity. And today we've got a slightly new format. What we're trying to do is just pack in as much as possible, but we're also recognizing that people are slightly loosening the lockdown rules and heading out into the sunshine. That's great, but over the next couple of hours, I'd like you to stay and sit and watch and be entertained. We're going over shortly all the way to Australia to see Rick Stein, our favourite and regular here on the Virtual Food Festival. He'll be joined by son Charlie to do a wine pairing after he's done a cooking demo. And then we're going to have a slightly grown-up debate. We're having a chef's forum around about 10:40. We've got Bruno Lupe, we've got Tom Hunt, and we've got Anna Haugh. They're going to join us and they're going to talk about who inspired them and what inspiration they take from being in the industry. And then it's time to go out into the sunshine, do what you like, have a bit of fun, enjoy yourselves, but make sure you join us back at 6 p.m. where we have the fantastic Melissa Hemsley. She's going to be doing a cookie demonstration. We've got Jo Wood giving a bit of rock and roll and organic food in her demonstration. And we're going to finish with Harry Redknapp around about 7. So full program with a little break in between. Let's go over to Australia and see if Rick is there. Good morning from us, Rick. Good evening to you. I'm sure Rick's there, winging his way halfway around the world. Rick, can you hear me? Just while we're waiting for Rick, these things happen sometimes when we go live, but just while we're waiting for Rick, we've got a new initiative. If you have a look on our virtualfoodfestival.org website, you might see that there's a splash page. You've got 2 opportunities to engage. First one is that you can go on the crowdfunder page and pledge to be in the front row. Hi guys. Coming in from Australia. The second thing is we've launched a food market, which is a way to buy and purchase produce that we use when it comes to doing the cookie demonstrations. Hi Rick, how are you? Can you hear us, Rick? Yes, Rick, hello, good morning, good evening.
Good evening, sorry about that. You got me now.
Yes, really nice and clearly. Rick, it's really nice to allow us into your family home again. When we did this a few weeks ago, well, actually a month ago, it seemed rather strange and peculiar and a bit kind of big brotherish. And now, 2 home haircuts later, it seems pretty normal.
I know, we're all getting used to it.
Yeah.
Stephen, am I ready to start?
Yeah, of course, yeah, you're the star of the show. You do what you like. Even if you did a card trick, we wouldn't mind.
Well, I've chosen a very, actually a lovely dish from my last book, Secret France. And you have to try and make things as quick as possible, I think, to do things in real time. So it's called chicken fricassee with morels, and it's one of my favourite, indeed my wife Sass's favourite dishes. So without further ado, let us begin.
Thank you.
And I've got 2 chicken breasts, just for me and her, I think. And I'm just first of all going to give them a nice brown colour. So that's what I'm doing. But
Yeah.
while I'm doing it, I'm just going to also chop up some shallots and talk a bit about the dish in general.
Yeah.
It's like lots of sort of sauteed chicken dishes. There's nothing much to it. You just fry a chicken breast and then cook it out with a bit of sauce and a bit of wine. But what makes this one really special for me is that it's with morel mushrooms, and they're very hard to get fresh. They're enormously expensive as well. Let me just season these chicken breasts while I'm talking. But I love them dried as well, because I don't know why it is, but in the process of drying them, they tend to pick up a rather sort of smoky flavour. And it's a dish which I particularly associate with poulet de presse, with that part of France, Jura, where those lovely breast chickens come from. I mean, breast is B-R-E-S-S-E, as opposed to breast. And we're getting a bit confused because these are chicken breasts included as well. But the thing that makes it really special are these morel mushrooms, which I don't know whether people. Olive, can you bring the camera on? This is my stepdaughter Olivia that's doing the work. They're spring mushrooms, spring and early summer mushrooms in the UK. I've actually seen them here in Australia as well. But dried, to me, they're almost better because you get this lovely smoky flavour in the dish.
What is
the
it?
Other thing?
Sorry, Brett. What is it you're soaking them in? Just water?
Oh God, I should be saying this, of course.
Sorry.
Have I done this before or not?
Yeah.
Quite right, Stephen. All I did was take them out of the packet and put them in some warm water for about 20 minutes, so that they're then fully fully hydrated is the word.
Yeah.
And also, it's probably a good idea just to make sure that the thing about morels is that they love sandy soil. In fact, in the years and years ago, when I had a house on Trevose Head in Cornwall, they used to grow in the garden, right?
Yeah.
But this was before any of us got used to eating anything but, button mushrooms. So I never picked them. But there they were every spring, and I think, gosh. But the thing about them is that because they like sandy soil, you do tend to have to sort of be careful that you're not going to pick up a load of grit. But what I'll do here is I'm going to use the juice from soaking the mushrooms to add to my sauce.
I don't know, foragers tend not to want to give away their secret locations, but just between you and I, morels grow in the B&Q car park just outside of Dorchester.
Love it. Love it. It's like, that's so funny.
I know.
It's funny because mushrooms obviously don't have a preference for where they grow, but I remember my kids' school at Ed and Jack's school had steps growing outside them, but nobody ever got them. They weren't the best steps, they were bay steps, but they're still very nice to eat.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, over here in Australia, there's a type of mushroom called the parasol mushroom, which in early summer you can see in the sort of verges of the roads. And I've never dared actually cook one because they do look like parasol mushrooms, but what if they're not?
I know, there's always a risk.
Confuse a morel with anything but a morel because they just look like they do. So, there we go. Just turning over the chicken breast now. Plenty of salt, plenty of pepper. All I'm doing now is just going to colour them because I want to finish cooking them in the sauce. So, there we go.
And would you always leave them whole, Rick, or would you sometimes cut the breast off? What's your preference?
Well, I just love the look of them in the finished dish whole, and then I would, expect my guests to cut them. But yeah, you can cut them, of course. The other thing is that my wife Sass just bought me Olivia is taking pictures, just bought me this lovely little casserole this afternoon. Isn't that nice?
It's beautiful.
That's so much money, you know the brand.
I do. Do you have to do a French dish in a Le Creuset?
You do, absolutely. But you know what? I was just doing this little program on local radio in Sydney the other day about your favourite cooking utensils, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember my parents had this casserole, not a Le Creuset, from Denmark, that they bought in the 60s. It's really trendy. And I first cooked my first dough, like red wine, French red wine pastry, in this Danish 60s style casserole. And ever since, cooking dishes in that casserole, they've always tasted better.
Yeah.
I do think a real correlation. It's like, you know, having a good fish filleting knife. Or when I was filming in India, I came back with a karai, you know, the sort of like wok-shaped Indian dish for cooking curries.
Yeah. Well, Jack and I were chatting yesterday during his live cooking demo at Ross's Padso Kitchen Garden Farm. And he actually asked, he said, oh, I think my dad's favourite kitchen appliance is the temperature probe.
Well, I do swear by them. Of course, it's not in the drawer. Where is it?
It's like looking for a pen.
I love it. I love it. I also take it swimming, so I don't know what the temperature of the water is in Cornwall. So it is. It's dual purpose.
Yeah.
Because, if you're cooking something like fish, you really do need to. You really need to know what temperature the fish is, and I mean, obviously, you know, if you're used to cooking fish, you can squeeze it and you can tell roughly what the centre's like, but not if it's a whole fish. And as Marco Pierre White once said, the difference between success and failure in fish cooking is 10 seconds.
Yeah.
A little bit much, but you know, he's right, really. So I've always felt that a temperature probe is a very good thing to have, and we tend to use them in the seafood, the other restaurants, not so much expecting everybody to probe everything all the time, but just so that every now and then you can, and I do this when I go into the kitchen, is get hold of the probe and stick it into a piece of fish and say, I'm sorry, it's too well cooked. Do it again.
Yeah, and lots of recipes go by time, but that doesn't really account for people's appliances, does it? Temperature's the only true measure.
It is. It's very tricky because, you know, when you're doing recipes, you do. Sorry, I'm just going to get a wooden spoon.
Yeah.
I've just been chopping a banana shallot there, and I'm just going to sweat that a little bit. I'm a little bit hot here. Down a little bit. I mean, you do have to give an approximate temperature, but you're absolutely right, Stephen. It's really down to everybody's equipment, which is endlessly variable. So it's sort of what I always say is sweat for 2 minutes or so. Right?
Nice. Yes.
You know.
And how's lockdown in Australia, Rick? Just to sort of get a global view, is it slightly easing, or was it a sort of a kind of gentle enough process anyway?
It's easing. I mean, they've been very lucky and very clever here, as you know, that they've had really relatively few cases of COVID and relatively few fatalities, which is wonderful. So things are sort of moving on a bit quicker than back home. But it's really interesting that I suppose I've got a couple of restaurants here, and really, I think being allowed 50 people into the restaurants next week.
Oh, great.
Right? So it's sort of, I suppose Australia's about a month ahead of the UK.
Yeah.
And it's really nice because, you know, not everybody, but the restaurants are very excited, getting ready to reopen.
Yeah.
We all hope and pray that, you know, there's not going to be a sort of resurgence, but there's a sort of general feeling in the air that things are changing, which is fabulous.
Yeah, and Do you have lots of outdoor space? Is it banisters?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you use the outside space there then?
Yes, there is. We've got two, one at Mollymook, which is south of Sydney, and one at Port Stephens, it's north. And Port Stephens, well, they've both got quite big terraces, which is very lucky. Yeah. I mean, I suppose one of the things you could say about Australia generally is there's plenty of room, you know, it goes without saying. So, you know, obviously there's unfortunate restaurants in the centre of Sydney that are small, like our London ones, but both banisters are quite big. So, I mean, you still could, sorry, I've just sliced up my morels and putting them in, having sweated off my shallots. So I'm just going to put some little chestnut mushrooms in there as well, just to bulk them out a little bit. It's almost like a sort of dish you could almost cook at somebody's table, you know, it's so easy. Yeah. So we're just going to let those. How am I doing for time? I should have had a little watch somewhere.
No, you're fine. Okay? You're fine.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
I mean, what else are people doing? I mean, you know, they're all crowded around their TVs on the YouTube channel watching this live. There's nothing else to do.
My gosh, that's a bit of daunting.
No, it's fine. We've got a very friendly audience.
Well, this is I just thought this is a lovely little dish for, you know, obviously get a bigger, whatever you call this, and do more. Saute pan, I suppose. But it's just a very, what I like about it is it's sort of a bit last minute, which is fun. Yeah. Right, now the next ingredient, which I really do love in this dish, when I first tasted this, it's this, I think. I hate it when things start making silly noises. Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
When I first had it, I had it in the Jura, and they have this incredibly concentrated sherry-like wine called a Van Joan. And it actually makes the sauce slightly yellow because it is so jaune, so yellow. I couldn't get that here. You probably could find it if you went to some trendy wine place in the centre of Sydney, but I'm just using dry sherry. Because the thing about Van Joan is it's made in the same sort of process as sherry, quite similar, and part of the flavour is oxidised. And, you know, that's what makes sherry so unique, is the oxidisation. But also, I think it's very good for cooking with. The Chinese rice wine is, again, oxidised. And that oxidised flavour is very sort of nutty. I've also made some chicken stock, and I would point out, me being me, I don't ever buy chicken breasts. I always buy whole chickens and do something else with the thighs and the legs. And then I make lovely stock with, just looking at Olivia, my stepdaughter here, because I've got a deep freeze full of stock. It's one of the things I just love doing, is making stock.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because there's more. I've got more prawn stock in the fridge than you could shake a stick at. And when they're having whole prawns, right? Yeah. I insist on them putting the shells in a plastic bag and putting them in the freezer because there's so much flavour. But you know, I'm a bit mad like that. So in there goes the sherry. And now the other thing that's, again, is very important in this fricassee is creme fraiche, which you can get in Australia, of course. It's slightly, never quite sure what's the difference between creme fraiche and sour cream, but it's just a matter of acidity, I guess.
Yes, it is.
So there we go. Do you know?
Yeah, it's one slightly more cultured than the other. So the sour cream is a little bit older, a little bit more acidic, like you said.
Aha, gotcha. But you do need it. I mean, I do find sometimes you just need, I always have some ordinary cream by as well, just in case it's a bit too acid. Oh, some people get really pissed off at me, excuse my language. God, I forgot the morel juice. That's about tasting things, you know.
Yeah.
Some people think it's a bit sort of, you know, it's not very nice. And also when I taste things, I always tend to say, "Oh, that's wonderful." And people say, "Well, it can't all be wonderful," but that's wonderful.
I believe you. I think isn't it part of your job to be able to taste it, and then also, even in a televisual sense, you've got to convey. We can't taste it, so you've got to do it for us.
I think you have, Stephen. That's a really good sort of point. The problem is that, you know, when you are tasting things, I suppose you look a bit sort of ungainly or a bit like, ugh. But I mean, it's what you do, you know.
Yeah.
I couldn't very well just not taste it. So occasionally, when I get a tweet from somebody saying, "Oh, don't like seeing you eating," I say, "Well, what would you expect me to do then?" You know, not taste it.
Exactly. I'm the opposite. I don't like people trying to make eating look sexy. I mean,
Say that again.
I said I don't like watching people trying to make eating look sexy. What's all that about?
Well, I mean, I tell you, when you say about that, what I really love is watching Chinese people eating.
Yes.
And it's almost impolite not to sort of eat with enormous sort of gusto and smacking of the lips and I mean, it's great. You know?
Yeah. Perfect.
Well, this is cooking down very nicely. So what am I gonna? I was just thinking about something here. Well, let me taste it again. Oh yeah. Oh, it's such a, you know, what I like about this dish is so simple, and the quality of the flavors, the morels and the wine is so special, and the cream. Of course, I was a bit worried when I produced this book because so much French food is, you know, really rather rich.
Yeah.
And I thought people were, you know, had moved on and eating a lot more healthy stuff and salads and, you know, vegan and vegetarian stuff. But actually, a lot of people still like this sort of food.
They do. There's a balance, isn't it? What would you serve that with?
I'm just going to tell you what I'd serve it with.
Sorry.
So I didn't want to sort of, I was going to cook this, but I haven't got the time. This rice, right? Pilaf rice is the thing to serve with it. And what I do, Olive, can you just, what I do with rice like this is I first of all fry it a little bit in olive oil, and you might be able to see it's got a bit of a green tinge on it, about a tablespoon of olive oil. And then I always work on the same ratio of 1 part volume of rice, so shall we say 100 grams of rice, to 1.6 volume of water, so about 160 milliliters of water. So I fry the rice a little bit, then I add the water, I bring it up to boil for 10 minutes, very gentle simmer, lid on, and I turn the heat off and just leave it just to settle for another 3 or 4 minutes. And it always comes out very nicely. You see the grains are all quite nicely separated from each other. Of course, I add salt as well, about half a teaspoon of salt to that. But I just think the French are very good with using rice with rich dishes like this. So I would always serve rice. And the other thing that I really like with it, because one of the restaurants that does it really, really well in this world is a place called the Column d'Or in St. Paul de Vence, just outside of Nice. And what I always order then is French beans, right?
Yeah.
And French beans to me should not be al dente, because everybody seems to serve them al dente these days. And I like them well cooked, not boiled, not blitzed, but well cooked so they're really soft. What I like is French beans just tossed in butter. That's the two things I would love. I love to eat with this. So we're just about there. We might find that's just a little bit undercooked in the middle, but I'm suspecting we might be running out of time, or are we not?
We're okay. Well, that's fine. I think, you know, we've got a very clear view of how fantastic that dish would end up. Shall we bring Charlie in, son Charlie, to chat about maybe pairing it with a nice wine, and maybe we could get him to talk a little bit about the sherry if he knows where we can source that from.
Good stuff.
Thanks, Rick. That's so fantastic. Thanks, Olive, for doing some brilliant camera work there too.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah. Hi, Charlie. Drinks
Hi,
coming.
Hi, Charlie.
How are you?
I'd just like to say, you mentioned earlier about you taking me, Jack, and Ed sep hunting. I don't recall ever finding any seps at the school.
Well, it must have been another occasion, Charlie. But I tell you what, if you go to Treviska even now, I bet you'll find them in October.
I think as a young kid, the last thing I wanted to do on a Sunday was go back to school.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So that's delicious dish, very French, very rich. And in the restaurants, we buy a couple of our wines direct from French producers. And I just wanted to highlight one of those really, because as we've said before, this is a global crisis, and the French wine producers are in as much trouble as English drinks producers as well. So this is a white Burgundy that we label ourselves, but it's from the Macon down in Burgundy, made by a really good friend of mine called Kevin Tessier, and we ship direct. You can buy it online from us at stein.com, but that is helping him, because the more we sell, the more we can buy from him and kickstart his production. And interestingly, we were doing a quiz we do every Friday with Jack and a couple of other chefs, and we were talking about wine. And Jack was sort of teasing me a bit and saying, "Oh, how would you describe wine? It's all like water, isn't it?" And I think that's quite relevant here, because the dish that Dad's got there is incredibly rich, and obviously it's got the creme fraiche in it, it's got butter, and that is fat, and you can pick that up in your mouth as richness. And the same thing with wine as well. So different wines have different levels of richness, and that's the mouthfeel, which when you speak to people about wine, they start thinking that's quite a flowery term. What does that mean? But it is the same. It's that fatness and that richness. And for me, with food and wine matching, that's the most important thing. It's not the fruit that you have in it. It's matching the richness of the two dishes. So this isn't going to get overpowered by the creme fraiche in the dish. So, and there's a sort of romanticism to French food and French wine, and it doesn't get better than Burgundy, in my opinion. So perfect match. Nice.
And what does Jack know anyway?
What does he know?
And who won the quiz, Charlie?
I won the quiz, but so there was so our friend lives in South Africa. He's a chef, and he did it this week. And one of the rounds was on capital cities, and I am quite good at capital cities. So it was out of 20, and I got 20 out of 20. So I kind of won the whole quiz based on the capital city round. So I think Jack was a bit upset.
Well, we'll rib him about that later, but he has his qualities too.
He certainly does, yeah.
Yeah, Charlie, that's another fantastic pairing. Can I just ask you a question about when you label a wine for the restaurants? Does that mean to say it's like an exclusive?
Yeah, so I work with Kevin every year to blend it. So it's different parcels from different Chardonnay vineyards in the Mâconnais, different levels of oak every year. So yeah, it's exclusive to us, and we work with him directly. And he's one of these guys that he's become a very good personal friend of mine, because he's really into food, really into wine, and we just talk for hours, drink a lot, and eat a lot.
Yeah, well, that's indicative of the way you guys work. You don't just have suppliers and producers. It seems that you have this extended family, and the spirit of what we're doing here obviously is born from the way you guys conduct your business. So it's great to know.
Yeah.
Can you maybe help me and your dad, Rick, out with the sherry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the sherry that Rick popped in? What was it again, Rick? The yellow sherry?
It was actually, to be brutally honest, it's Chinese rice wine vinegar. I was lying about it being sherry, but it has the same effect. What you're looking for is that sort of, as I was saying, that oxidized flavour. But yeah. I would use a fino, a dry sherry for that, if I could get it.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, you're totally right. I mean, sherry obviously is oxidized, and Vin Jaune is oxidized, and you get some very trendy chefs making oxidized sauces out of Burgundy. So really top-end Burgundies that have been oxidized, they'll use that in a butter sauce as well.
Exactly. Don't throw it away. Make a nice butter sauce with it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Great. Thank you so much. Lovely dish. Rick, thanks for allowing us to come all the way over into your house again.
Well, very nice to be talking to you again, Stephen, I must say, and you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you get to Zoom much, you guys, or is it just over at the virtual food festival where you get to meet again?
No, we
do a bit.
We do a bit of Zoom in, don't we, Dad?
We do.
It doesn't get involved in the quiz though, Rick.
No, the quiz is good.
Yeah.
You've got an invite into the quiz, yeah.
Yeah, we need you because I do the Times quiz with Sass and two of our friends here twice a week. So we need you to get the wine questions and the capital cities questions. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Great. Well done. Drinks captain and geography director. Well done. Thanks, Charlie. Lovely pairing. We're going to see you later on, aren't we?
You are indeed. Yeah, I'll be later this evening. Yeah.
Yeah, magic. Thanks ever so much, Charlie. Brilliant stuff.
Bye, Dad.
Bye.
Bye, Charlie.
And Rick, thank you again so much. Fantastic. If you don't mind, I'm going to take your rice cooking method and try and pass that off as my own.
Of course you can.
Thank you. That's great. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, Sass, in the background. Thank you, Liv. Take care. Bye, Rick.
Bye, Dan. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Thank you both to Rick and Charlie. Great, lovely dish, lovely pairing, a little bit of fun, and of course, amazing ingredients, and a little bit of honesty there about the sherry. That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so first demo done, wine pairing matched. Let's move on to the second phase of our first part on the split shift on this fantastic Saturday. We've got the Chefs Forum coming up. I feel a little bit like Mrs. Merton, you know, kind of let's have a debate. But of course, we do love to get people chatting about how they got in the business. And particularly if they are inspirational figures, we like to find out what inspired them. So again, coming halfway across the world in Australia, near Brisbane on the Gold Coast, we've got Bruno Lupe. And Bruno, he was a Michelin star chef here in London. He's also well known for the grain store. He's over in Australia now, where he's got the Willowvale Cookery School, which is an organic farm. And the thing that we really know about him is he put vegetable center stage. We've got Tom Hunt joining him. Tom Hunt, chef, author, campaigner, friend of mine. And he's also just written a brilliant book, Eating for Pleasure, People and Planet. And we've got Anna Haugh, head chef, owner of Myrtle in Chelsea. You might also know her as the host of Saturday Kitchen and Ready Steady Cook. Let's get them over. Hi team, how are you?
Hiya, how you doing?
We're all good. Nice to see you all.
You too.
Hi, yeah, hi, I'll say, Anna, how are you?
Yeah, very good,
Great,
thanks.
great. Thanks. Tom, I can't see a copy of my book in the background. Is it there?
Yeah, I'm sure it is somewhere. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, oh, you're probably using it or reading it or something.
Yeah, it's in the kitchen
Yeah,
next to the ham and the
yeah.
sausages smoking.
Bruno, how are you, Bruno? Hi. Bruno, we can't quite hear you at the moment. You're just on mute. We'll be able to sort that out for you. There you go.
Oh.
Hi, Bruno.
I'm down under, maybe.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're not upside down because you're in Brisbane. It's fine. You're just on landscape. So I gave everybody, I hope, a half decent introduction. So let's not spend time kind of talking about who you are. It's sort of, you know, I dread those moments. Oh, we're in a meeting. Let's say who you are. What's that? But what we're trying to do is find out a little bit about where your inspiration came from, what or who inspired you, because you're all inspirational figures. You're all kind of leading in your own fields. But Anna, can I come to you first?
Sure.
You love the live telly. We were chatting yesterday,
yeah.
And obviously with the programs Ready Steady Cook and Saturday Kitchen, you'll be used to this. But was it your aim? Is it ever an aim for anybody to put their face on TV? Who's a chef?
No way. I mean, my I say career, I would have been just a step above a commis chef. I was very lucky to be offered a few programs that became huge in Ireland. And I turned all that stuff down because, I mean, as a chef, like, well, as a person, I define myself through a chef, and I craved knowledge. I craved the confidence of genuinely knowing how to instinctively cook. And the truth is, although we use the words instincts in the kitchen, you have to learn instincts. Like, so I really never was interested being on television until I believed I was trained. So being on television is more important for my business than it is for my ego. I feel alive when I'm cooking. And like I was saying, the reason why I like live television is that, you know, you're on your toes, you got to be ready, you know, you've got to, you know what you're talking about and be able to produce that dish in a very limited amount of time, like you would do in service. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's the kind of energy that you get from cooking that you can apply in a live situation. It's not, let's put on a show, it's who you are.
Yeah, and I feel alive when I'm cooking. I'm by far the most confident version of myself, and possibly mildly aggressive in a playful way, but I genuinely feel that you know, till the day I die, if I'm 100 years of age, I can still picture myself buttoning up a chef white and pottering around the kitchen. I love it.
When I put on chef's whites, I look like a dentist. I can't pass it off. Thank you, Anna. Bruno, welcome. Bruno, can you hear us okay?
Yes,
Thank you. Sorry. Bruno, you've done it all. Michelin star, working in London, opening your own restaurants, changing the way we view food, inspiring people like Jamie Oliver to think about the future of food. Is it true that Jamie brought his whole team once to order everything on the menu at the grain store?
Yes, it did happen. We actually have quite a few chefs who done that. Sadbin, even famous chef from Australia, you know. So yeah, I think grain store was a bit of a, you know, just coming at the right time. It was, you know, of course, a lot of people were looking at vegetable in a different way already. But the grain store maybe was a bit different because it was quite in a large scale. You know, we used to do 450 covers a day. So it was a restaurant taking a bit of risk on a large scale, you know, doing something very different than what is done normally in this kind of restaurant. So I think a lot of chefs was interested by seeing our what we were doing and how do we do it at this level with these numbers of customers, I guess.
And for somebody who has inspired and influenced so many people in the industry, what was it that, what's the real spark for you? Where do you get your inspiration from, or from who?
Well, I mean, for me, it started very early because, you know, at home as a child, food, you know, the meal were something very serious, and our parents make sure we sit at the table and we can't watch any TV, we can play or sometimes even talk, or we just answer to our parents. And we eat, and I think my parents, especially my mother, always make sure that we respect and we understand it was very important. It's something quite special because my parents were children of the war. You know, they didn't have much during the war, and I think, you know, they always value food as obviously something really important in their life, and they try to give us this as well.
Yeah,
so I think I will say you start with my mother, and also a bit cliche for French, I know, but my grandmother as well, which was a great cook and also a bit of a mother figure in the family, you know, like the general, and controlling everything and cooking and every day around, you know, running and bringing us stuff and everything. So I you know, even as a child, I was, you know, kind of amazed the way she used to control things and do things. And then here you are, you sit at the table and you have this amazing meal. So that may be what kind of inspired me to become a chef.
Yeah, I mean, so many people have that view, getting to food because of the maternal side of the family, and yet there's still the disparity of women in the kitchen, and we'll come back to Anna with that in a sec. But Tom, if I can, just your back. I know it's a strange question. I know you so well, but for everybody else, where's your inspiration come from? Because you've kind of gone on this amazing trajectory like everybody else.
Hey, Steve. Well, I'd like to echo what Bruno said. It certainly goes back to my family and eating around the table. Also growing up in Dorset and inheriting 2 goats at the age of 14 taught me the true value and blood, sweat and tears of where food comes from.
What a Christmas that was.
Yeah. Before school at 12 years old in the rain, milking the goats. And yeah, then my first job was actually in the Bottle Inn, which is in just around the corner from where I grew up in a village called Thorncombe, which I'm sure you know well.
The Marshwood Vale.
Yeah. And it's a pretty regular pub. But when I was there was a very inspirational chef called Ben Hodges, who became my best friend and pretty much a mentor. He was crazy. He was called Ben Pig because he reared a couple of pigs and then tried to butcher them in his bath at home. But he was, I think of things he said to me back then in like 97 and just think, wow, you were just so way ahead of the curve. And of course, then I went on to work at River Cottage with you, Steve. And so that just kind of solidified my values around good food and just made me turn me into this kind of like really staunch chef who just like decided really to prioritize those ethics within my cooking.
Yeah, and everybody's got their strong views. And hey, listen, let's use this like as a chat room, because don't wait for me to ask questions to you guys. You should chat amongst yourselves as well, but feel free to do that. Right. Anna, can we just go back a little away there? I saw footage of you actually give a brilliant, I'm going to say speech, but presentation, if you like, Food at the Edge with JP.
Yeah.
And very moving, very, it just hit home. And I guess it was mostly about culture in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And bullying.
Yeah.
Do you think that's changed?
Well, I know in my kitchen, I felt a responsibility to change, the kind of format and how you train people. I severely disagree with the concept of breaking people down so you can build them back up. Like, that to me is completely wrong. I was very nervous when I was doing that talk. I mean, Food on the Edge, anything to do where you've great people coming together, like a chat like this, I find it very inspiring. And when I was doing Food on the Edge, which was, oh gosh, it must be 4 years ago at least now, I felt way in over my head. I felt like I didn't belong there. I was amongst all these incredible chefs, and I was really nervous talking about mental health because I was talking about how we were all running our kitchen. So there would still be brilliant, kind, funny people using certain techniques to kind of get the most out of staff. And I was worried that people might be a bit offended in what I was saying. But yeah, I really believe that when you have a kitchen, you have a responsibility to take care of those people. So you get a young 20-year-old chef in, you can't just kind of batter them all day long and then say, see you, good night, and not going to go out and get off their face or drink till they pass out and be, what I mean? There's a response that we have, which is a lot easier when you've got small kitchens. But I've run big kitchens. I've run kitchens of brigades of, 35 people. And I would always pair people off together. Somebody new would come in and I'd try to guess who they might get along with and try to make sure that person kind of was just always there at the lunch break or there just to kind of talk to them, because, the kitchen, ironically, is a very lonely place, even though you're shoulder with people that are on. But yeah,
especially when people, there's the cold shoulder thing in the kitchen, isn't there? You can kind of get, I'm sort of surrounded by 20 people and nobody's they're all giving you the cold shoulder. It's a strange thing. I've experienced that myself.
But it's usually when you've made a mistake, isn't it? It's like you've made a mistake, you've messed up something in service and everybody hates you. The head chef hates you and everybody. And that is a traumatic and important, stage to go through as a chef. Is you've got to own your mistakes and see that the knock-on effect of you missing a timing will mess up the main course, you know what I mean, having to be refired.
Exactly. Yes. I totally get that. And now we're going to bring in all the head chefs you've upset. We've got them waiting in the wings to go through it one by one. That's great to know that ethos and culture is the same thing. Bruno, do you agree? You have a very strong principles. You have very strong ethos. How do you encapsulate that in the way you deal with your staff?
For me, in the kitchen, I was, I always believe in, showing the way, and you work hard and you joke when it's time to joke, but you are serious when it's serious, when you need to be serious. And I think, it was kind of a simplistic way to do things, but I think it's quite efficient because people respect, when as a chef, you show the example and you work very hard, you work harder than anybody else. And you try to inspire them with stories. And I remember we used to receive beautiful products, and then I bring the people and say, okay, smell this, what do you think? And we joke and we smell and we cut it and we look and we say, what you will do with that? And we kind of develop a bit like this and then go on with our job. But I think little things like that along the day make a big difference for a chef. I think when you show that you give them a bit of interest, about what you're doing, and I think for me, always been, trying to do things which will, give me a buzz myself, having beautiful products and trying to talk about, and some young chefs sometimes I haven't seen porcini or cep mushrooms or fresh or things like that. And I used to love to. They used to call me the storyteller because I used to always have a story about the mushroom, how many kilos I used to pick on Wimbledon Common, and all these kind of things. And I think it's nice to to make them part, as we say before, to make them part of the team, part of the family, really. And and they just feel good and they work hard and they try, they want to be involved and learn.
And over the 30 years that you've been involved in food, was that a slow change? Did you see that change come in, or is that the way you've always approached it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, I would be lying if I, of course there is a change because, in my generation, we go back quite far, away many years ago. I think we used to not to talk too much, we used to put the head down and just do your job. But you always come as well with a respect of you look at people around you, and they see, you see how good they are, what they are doing, how much skill they have and everything. And hopefully if you have a strong mind and a big heart, you just put your head down and work. I think these days it's a bit different. I mean, these days you have to bring the people in slowly and involve them and pair them with other person who knows what they're doing and been there for a while, etc. Yeah. I mean, it's complete. I mean, before basically you used to be a drop in a deep end, and if you are strong, you survive basically, which is not the way, but it used to be the way, as we know.
Yeah, interesting. Both of you and Anna have the same sort of teaming up and pairing and having that sort of conscious decision to be mindful about people's working lives, because you get the best out of them. Tom, I don't think I've ever seen you lose your temper. In fact, I think that your go-to response to being in a bad situation is to giggle.
Oh, really? Thank you. Yeah, nervous laughter.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, as a food sustainability writer and recipe writer and owner of our restaurant, co-owner of Poco, our restaurant in Bristol. I've learned that people care is a really important part of sustainability if you're going to really take it on board as a whole. And we improved our practices much by being a member of the Sustainable Restaurant Association, which I know, Bruno, you're a member of. Or And yeah, and so it's always been a priority for us in Poco, and my partners Benjamin Pryor and Jem Best are just like, they put the staff first before anything else. And it's really, really heartening and amazing to see. I've just got too much going on in my head to pay that much care and love and attention to a team like they do. And it's just remarkable and so impressive.
But it is team, isn't it, Tom? Do you know, it's very much team. I think between you all, in the current situation of lockdown, are you in contact with your staff? Do you sort of talk to them, not even about work? Do you just kind of check in?
Yeah, we have like a WhatsApp group. I have a very small team. Like Myrtle is only like 30 seats, or that's including, you know, a few outside as well.
Yeah.
We're all in contact, usually just, you know, slagging each other off. But we do cookery challenges where we do food that's completely different than what we do in the restaurant. So it could be like a sushi challenge or a gâteau challenge, or, you know, or even we did a fake away challenge where we had to make a McDonald's burger. So yeah, like I want to know that they're okay. You know, some people you know, that they're quite isolated, so it's just nice to kind of hear back from them, and we all get along. You know, in a small restaurant like Myrtle, you can't have somebody in the team that, you know, you don't like. You know, you hire as much about a person's personality, and then hopefully you can train them to be good chefs and good waiters. But yeah, we all get along very well.
That's great. And Bruno, are you, because you're pretty much in a very remote area, so you're kind of,
yes. I'm always in contact. I'm always in contact with people working with me, because the only person working with me is my wife Catherine. So yeah.
Catherine's on the sofa there with you, I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how is that? How is that? I mean, we talk about team as family. I mean, how is family as team?
No, it's okay. It works. I mean, we have a little business. We have the school, actually, which have to close because of the corona. So we've been doing a takeaway, and we live in a little valley between Gold Coast and Brisbane. And in this valley, a lot of people come, and for them, it's a nice thing to do on Saturday, to pop in the school and buy a few meals for the week. And yeah, so it's good for us. It keeps us alive. And of course, we have a lot of work on the farm, because we have a big garden, we have animals and a lot of things. So yeah, we're busy every day, you know.
Nice. So it's ticks along for you, and you know, despite the fact that you're not getting people into the school there at Willow Vale, you're still going about your day-to-day business. This is a question for everybody, and you know, discuss amongst yourselves. Have you had any opportunity for yourself personally to just step away from food and maybe, I don't know, learn Pilates, learn a language? Any of you managed to do anything for yourself, or is it all about reacting and trying to get back to the new normal when things have changed?
I mean, I feel like I've had a completely life-changing experience during this time. So I've like 25% of my day is to do with my business and my, you know, my staff, and I'm planning the future. And then I have 75% of my day where I can either just worry or do other things. And yeah, like I've never cycled in a city like London, and you know, I bought myself a bike and I cycle everywhere, and I have a few near-death experiences every day. But I paint. I'm not particularly good at painting, but I've been painting, and I've loved it. But I've been in contact with people in a way that I've just not had in my adult life. You know, from the day that I became a chef, that was my priority. I didn't have a balanced life at all.
Yeah.
And now it's just, I've loved every second of it. I really have, and I've loved cooking. I see cooking as a hobby as well as a job. So I don't feel burdened. I'm still excited planning dinner every single day. I know when I go back to work, this is gone. This will be a period of my life that will be matched by no other. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to do the things that you daydream about, you know, when you're saying no to those invitations to go out on a Friday or Saturday night. I mean, I know I'm saying yes to them now and I'm sitting in my sitting room doing a Zoom or bingo, whatever. But for me, it's been a real bonding time between everybody. Like my parents, having virtual dinners with my mum and dad, they're 75. They're mental. They are so much fun. And just being able to kind of connect with them like that as well. It's lovely, but it's also, you know, it has its downsides. It's not all.
Yeah, you seem to be managing it really well. And, you know, you should be able to cycle around London having driven your moped around Paris.
Oh my God. I crashed that moped in Paris more times than I, you know, it's driving around the Champs-Elysees screaming, like genuinely on it, like screaming, and then off on the wrong exit and going, I've got to go back on it. Never been like a moped in Paris.
I know, thanks, Anna. And I know, Tom, you're a keen cyclist. You've got one of those lovely Danish bikes with the box on the front for the family. Have you still got it?
Yeah. I go out on it every day with Lyra, our little baby, and our dog Kombu as my kind of exercise and dog walking. And it's really nice, actually. And I mean, the sad reality though, Steve, is that as a freelance food writer, I'm pretty used to self-isolating. So my life hasn't changed so much in that way. We very fortunately, of course. But what I have been doing is recently I've decided I'm going to walk for at least an hour a day, and that's changing my life. Just kind of having that extra time in nature, because normally I've always got something to do. Even if I'm going on a walk, I want a destination, and that's kind of started to change my approach to life a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah, it's really lovely, actually. I mean, the only thing that I'm missing, we go for walks too with the family, and I'm also a keen cyclist, but for me, a walk is a walk in a nice part of the countryside to a pub.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the missing bit. But, you know, the time, for me, I don't know where the time goes. You know, I'm thinking, oh, my life, I've got this time, and, you know, it just is going really, really quickly. We've got 3 girls at home and homeschooling. Don't get me started. Bruno, is time going slowly for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's business as usual. I mean, we don't really have more times, because on the farm you have always something to do. You build something new. You know, I've been repairing a bridge which, you know, was completely destroyed with big rain, and then you have fencing and always something to do. But we like to go with Catherine. We like to go on a horse. We have the horses on the farm, and so we go on trails, and we have sometimes maybe not enough. We should do even more. But we love to go on trails with horses, and enjoy Mother Nature, you know, and looking at the trees and the beautiful places around where we live, which is beautiful and very peaceful.
Yeah, there seems to be a very nice engagement with the outside, albeit sort of limited at first, but now, you know, bird song, cloudless skies, no planes going across. I've noticed all of these things which are probably going on in the background all the time, but I do feel a little bit closer to nature. I've got one kind of big question to everybody, and then we'll have a little catch up to see what you guys are doing next. But does anybody have any views on where the future of restaurants and food is going? And you know, it could be a product, it could be an ingredient, it could be a style, it could be service, you know, it could be even TV programs about food. Do anybody have any strong views on what's coming next?
I don't have strong views, but
I asked those questions because I've got an idea. It's my moment to pitch. Yeah, yeah. No, I haven't.
I think maybe a lot of people realize they enjoy cooking at home, so maybe that will be a downside for restaurants.
Yeah.
More and more people will cook at home. And we can see that everybody is baking now. Everybody is master baker, and everybody enjoy doing things at home. And I think with what's happened now, what did happen with the corona, I think people realize a lot of things they didn't was on the front of them and never see. They realize that they can work from home. They realize that they can use more technology. They realize that they enjoy cooking and have a glass of wine at night instead of buying a takeaway on the way, or maybe going to a restaurant or whatever. So I think in a way, it probably make people realize a lot of things. As I say, was there, but they never see it.
Yeah.
Or never realize.
Yeah, true. Lots of people cooking at home, and I think that's great. And Tom, you're doing lots of Instagram live stuff from home and doing teaching, and that content that you're creating and you're giving out. That's a new departure. I mean, I know you were a teacher as well, but having the time to just show what you're doing and share. You think you'll carry on?
Yeah, well, I think the week of the lockdown, I brought out my new cookbook, Eating for Pleasure, People and Planet, and I had about 20 events organized for the summer, and I was just like, sorry, there's builders in the front here. Can you still hear me well enough?
Yeah.
So I just felt like I had to switch to digital very quickly, and all of my inhibitions around kind of talking to camera and doing these kind of off the cuff videos from home just had to disappear. So like Lyra was in shot and Tamsin was filming, and I'd love to carry it on whenever I can. Actually, I'm doing a batch cook along live at 3 p.m. where I'm going to make kimchi. I've decided this month. For me, batch cooking on a Saturday or a Sunday is a great way to make sure you're cooking from scratch and getting ahead for the week. So I thought that would be a nice kind of, event to put on. But otherwise, I guess, that's it really. Life's carrying on as normal with all of my writing and things like that.
Nice. I mean, it's really funny, isn't it? Kind of opening up your home, even on a little chat like this. I'm always in front of the mirror with the hairbrush, pretending it's a microphone. I still haven't grown out of that, so I'm loving this. Anna, you're on Sunday brunch tomorrow, aren't you? But you've had to bring the TV studio into your home.
Yeah, so I thought it was just going to be like this, that I would do like a version of kind of Zoom, but no, they're going to bring in a couple of cameras and set them up for me, and then I'll have to cook. And I'll do 2 dishes. I'm quite excited about that. I'm going to do like a kind of brunch dish, and then a little kind of strawberry curd tart for the dessert. But I mean, it's kind of strange having something like this coming into your home.
Yeah.
But in general, I love people coming to my home. I'm a real, I'm happy when I'm cooking for people, or when I'm, doing stuff. So, I'd be delighted for them to come in. But yeah, it is a bit weird. The fact that I'm talking to my phone like this is,
yeah, I know.
Saying and the idea that I can have a girls' night where there's loads of us all on the chat, and it's just totally normal. I almost feel like I'm, even now talking to you, I feel like I'm talking to the two of you, and I forget that there's possibly other people watching it. It's kind of surreal.
Yeah. All of our parents are watching.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, listen, thank you. I've really enjoyed chatting to you all. Thank you for allowing us into your home. Really inspirational figures in your own right, and it's really nice for you to share what has inspired you. So thanks for joining us on this Chefs Forum on our 4th virtual food festival. Good luck with the rest of your day, and we'll keep checking in with you live on your own channels, and we'll check in with you, Anna, on Sunday brunch tomorrow. Good luck with the batch cooking, Tom, and good luck on the farm, Bruno.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so lovely. Nice little chat. Interesting to see inside the minds of how people at the top of their game are getting through this particular strange time. Okay, so first part done. We're coming back at 6 p.m. Time to pop out, enjoy yourself, do some batch cooking. Watch Tom making his, I think, did he say kimchi? Can't remember. But make sure that you rejoin us at 6 p.m. Just to remind you, you can get yourself on the front row. You can join me on the screen and everybody else who's coming up this evening. You can go on the crowdfunder platform and pledge. It's just a couple of quid to get on the front seat. You can either go directly there or via our website, virtualfoodfestival.org. We've also got a new initiative there called the Food Market. So coming up later, we have got Melissa Hemsley at 6. Joe Wood will follow with the demonstration, and then we're going to finish with a brilliant chat with the amazing Harry Redknapp. Have a good rest of the day. We'll see you back here at 6 p.m.